live.
All right. I was having a little technical difficulties because obviously, since I've got a new YouTube channel, they won't let me go live on there. I don't know what you qualify. I don't know anything about YouTube, but
Oh, I think it. Trying to do the chat. I think you have to. Oops, there we go. I think you have to wait 24 hours before you can connect it or something. I do remember that part of it.
okay.
There's Tanya. Hi, Miss Tanya.
Hello.
There we go. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We do have a few more guests that are going to pop in. We're going to talk about what insulin resistance is because I know, hey, Kendra, thanks for tagging people because I know, hey, Tanya, do you mind putting a message in our Telegram group, just letting people know that we're live and they can pop in and tag people if they'd like Kendra's doing. So most of us didn't know that we were insulin resistant, or we didn't really understand the correlation between our insulin hormone and what it was doing to our bodies. And so that's what we're going to talk about. And many people on the panel have reversed. Hey, Donnie, have reversed type 2 diabetes, PCOS. I've lost 100 pounds. Michael's lost 105. You know, collectively, we've lost a bunch of weight, inches. IBS, we're ditching a lot of symptoms and a lot of meds for most of us. Some of us, all of our meds. Some of us, oxygen that we use 24/7. So we're briefly just going to explain. Hold on, let me add Chelsea. Everybody welcome Chelsea. You guys haven't met Chelsea yet. Chelsea is Carrie's daughter-in-law. And there's my husband at their house. So we're just going to explain to you the how and the why, how we get sick, why we get sick, and then we're just going to some testimonials and then just ask questions. So, yes, sir. Wait, are you muted? Hold on. I can't hear you, Michael.
Okay.
Oh, wait, there it is.
Which one's pregnant? Is this
That would be her.
Chelsea? You're the one.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Okay. Congratulations.
Yes, she's going to talk about that. You spoiled the news.
Oh, we're gonna see in a few hours.
Okay.
I'm at
So-
home. You got dinner cooked?
Listen, I'm doing my live. Go away. Michael, would you like to explain a little bit about the how of insulin resistance?
The how, as in why we have insulin resistance?
How did you get sick?
Oh, well, absolutely. When over a period of years of everything that was happening and developing over my lifestyle, I found myself morbidly obese. My doctors were telling me to eat less, exercise more, and so I tried several different things like Herbalife and Isogenics, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, things like that. I was able to lose a little bit of weight on those products, but they just wasn't very maintainable because when you start replacing meals with protein shakes and weighing food, counting calories, keeping up with points, it's just not very sustainable. It wasn't for me anyway. And so I tried just about everything there was, but I was still gaining weight. I still had so much chronic fatigue that I was sleeping 10, 12 hours a day. I would sit up on the edge of the bed and just wonder where I was going to get the energy to even get up and get out of bed. And some days I wouldn't. Right. It just got toward the last couple of years, it just got pretty depressing because, hey, I just really didn't care anymore about, things that I should have been caring about. And I came across TikTok, of all places, to this barbecue guy was on there, and I thought, you know what? He was a pit master. I knew what a pit master was. But he wasn't talking about food. He was talking about type 2 diabetes, which I was.
Right.
talking about high cholesterol, high blood pressure, the inability to lose weight, and things like that. And that was me. I was all of those. And I started following him. And I was listening to him just about every single day, because when I would get up out of bed and start my day, he was already on his live stream. And I began to follow the man for 6 months. I was a little bit uneducated 12 years ago at being diagnosed a type 2 diabetic. I just assumed it was a disease that I had to live with. My doctors never told me that it was a reversible condition. I just figured I'd have to take the medicines they were putting me on. And so as I began to listen to him, I was like, I just really don't know if this is, what kind of snake oil is he selling is what I was telling myself. And about the 4th month, I started seeing more and more people like you and Jimmy and others on here. And I'm thinking, there's got to be something behind this, because there's too many people having positive results. And then month 6 rolls around. I didn't know if I could afford this system. I'm on a fixed income, a single source income, one little check from the government every month to try to live on. And it was stretched about as far as it could stretch then. And so I went to my doctor in June of 2024, and he said, hey, man, you ain't got about 2 or 3 years left if you don't get a grip on your health. And I mean, you are a type 2 diabetic. You're 492 pounds. I was on 25 pills per day just to sustain life every day. 8 of those were blood pressure pills. And he says, look, man, you just it ain't going to happen. You're going to have a cardiac event or something, And so it's a 45-minute drive home. I was thinking about the Healthy Pitmaster all the way home. All those videos, live streams, like we're doing right now, that I watched and doubted, and then kind of started believing once I saw other people having results. I ordered the system because they offer a 90-day money-back happiness guarantee. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this for 90 days, and I'm going to get my money back in 90 days. It's not going to work. I've tried everything else. I had hopes. I had hopes that it would work because I saw other people doing it. But I tried everything, spent thousands of dollars on a lot of those other products and stuff, and just wasn't successful at it. And so after I got the product and started using it, started drinking the 2 teas a day, drinking the fiber a day, I began to see some amazing things. Within the first week, the inflammation and for my osteoarthritis and stuff started leaving my body. That chronic fatigue that I'd lived with for the last 10 years, sleeping 10, 12 hours a day. I started sleeping like 8 hours a day, waking up feeling pretty good, like I had some energy.
Right.
And then about a month into this protocol, I started getting up, getting dizzy and lightheaded, and I was like, what is this crap doing to me? And then I was like, well, I read that this stuff lowers blood pressure. Let me check my blood pressure. It was 102/50. That's when I realized I did not need 8 blood pressure pills anymore.
Right.
I began to come off of the losartan and the lisinopril and the other ones that I was on. And then at the end of 90 days, I had reversed my type 2 diabetes. My doctors called and said, you don't have to take the metformin, the glipizide anymore. I said, thank goodness, because I quit taking that crap about 6 weeks ago. And my glucose
now we're
level,
always going to recommend you talk to your doctor.
Yeah, my glucose levels, I used to eat, when I would consume food, within 2 hours, I would check it like they wanted me to. I was in that 220 to 240 range, medicated. And at the end of 90 days, the highest I believe it ever got was like 140, even after getting off the meds. Now I've been on the protocol 7 months. I went from 25 pills a day to only 4. I don't even think I need that 1 blood pressure medicine that I still take. But I'm going to do your advice and talk to my doctor about it. And I've lost about 106 pounds in 7 months with no No going to the gym or anything like that. I don't enjoy that, but if you do enjoy that, then great. I mean, I'm all for it. It will help. It will. And just to be able to, reverse diabetes, get off the meds, lose the weight, start getting my life back, because I told you, I was at the point I didn't care anymore.
Right.
If the sun didn't rise the next day, great. If it did, oh well, just another day. And I love Unicity's slogan about we're making lives better, because it's absolutely made my life better. It's given me my life back. And if you're struggling with some of these conditions that we're going to talk about, discuss, you don't have to live this way. There is a solution to these problems. And we're going to discuss that, I'm sure. So
yes, I'm going to discuss that right now real quick. So how do we get here? We have eaten too often and eaten the wrong foods, and that's what's got us here. So when we're eating every 2 to 3 hours or snacking all the time, our glucose doesn't have a chance to come down, and our glucose stays elevated. Over a period of time, when your glucose stays elevated, it creates something called hyperinsulinemia. And hyperinsulinemia over a longer period of time makes you insulin resistant. And so when we eat, our pancreas produces the insulin. The insulin is like a little key that has an insulin receptor in our cells, and it unlocks our cells and opens it up so the glucose from our food can go in and fuel our cells. So when there's too much of that, because we're either eating all the time or snacking all the time, our glucose stays elevated, it can't actually unlock the cell. And so where does all of it go? It goes in our liver first, our muscles, and then all of our jiggly bits that we don't like, our belly fat, and all the places that we gain weight, that's where it's stored. And so Dr. Ben Bickman has written a book called Why We Get Sick, Tanya. I know she's got hers right there. You guys can screenshot this. This book will change your life. Everybody's got theirs. Mine's at Carrie's. Why We Get Sick, Dr. Ben Bickman wrote this. You can become insulin resistant as early as age 4. And so it takes us years and decades to actually start seeing the symptoms. And those can be type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, dementia, PCOS, which Chelsea's going to talk about in just a second. Obesity, being overweight, not being able to lose weight, chronic fatigue, IBS, gout, kidney disease, heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. The list goes on and on. Almost every single thing that we have an issue with is either caused by insulin resistance or exacerbated by insulin resistance. And so the myths are, 1, you have to be overweight to be insulin resistant. 2, you have to be diabetic to be insulin resistant. Insulin resistance comes in a lot of forms, like I just said. And the great thing is they're 100% reversible. Now, the longer you've been insulin resistant, you can do some damage to certain parts of your body. So complete reversal of certain things may or may not happen. But for the most part, most of the people that I know have completely reversed type 2 diabetes or other health issues that we have. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I want to introduce Chelsea because she's pretty busy. I know she's got some stuff to do. But Chelsea has had PCOS for a really long time, and I will let her tell her story. Chelsea, take it away.
Hey, so PCOS and endometriosis. I mean, sorry guys, but as soon as I hit puberty when I was a kid, it was, my menstrual cycle was terrible.
Yeah.
And then I was always also just a lethargic kid. I was, because my mother-in-law is really focused on the PCOS because she's super excited about a grandkid. But I was also like, it's way more than that though, because my sisters didn't even hardly ask me questions. They jumped on the product because I've always been lethargic and just barely I was motivated enough to push through it and meet my goals in life, but I've never felt good. And so now that they see me living my life and actually feeling good, they were like, I don't care what it is. I'll just take it.
Right.
And like I'm in my 30s and pregnant, and I feel better now than I did when I was a teenager or in my 20s.
So when were you officially diagnosed with PCOS?
Well, I went to a doctor when I was 18, and that's when he diagnosed me with both things and put me on birth control. But before that, I just suspected. So
You just suspected, right?
yeah.
Now, what did you, other than the PCOS and the endometriosis, did you have anything else going on? Like, what are the other things that you've noticed besides the energy? And obviously reversing your PCOS, because now your mother-in-law is sitting next to me and very happy she gets another grandbaby. So, but other than that, what have you noticed, like differences or other things that you may have been dealing with?
So it might sound funny, but acne, I've always had acne. That's pretty much cleared up. My sisters have been telling me for months, like, gosh, your skin just looks so good. Like your eyes are clear. And I'm like, oh yeah, weird. I don't know. Because I just didn't want to be like, yeah, I'm on another fad thing, like
Right.
and so finally, so it's been since April, so it's been, what is that, 8-9 months? I can't do math. But I was like, okay, here's what I'm doing. So
Right. And they were like, I don't care what it is, let's just sign me up.
yeah, basically.
What about I know that I heard you and Carrie talking about, and I suffered with 20-year IBS as well. Like mine was horrific, like 8, 9, 10 times a day. And Carrie hated traveling with me because I would be like, hey, I gotta go like right now, like pull over, go to the bathroom.
Yeah, same.
So what have you noticed the differences in that?
Well, it's kind of funny. It was because I'm sure like my body was so damaged, it just took a long time. So it was just kind of recently. I'm a home health nurse, and so I was, always hunting for a bath. Like it was always on my mind to know where a bathroom was on my route, always. And I just kind of realized the other day, I was like, man, I don't like plan my life around bathroom stops anymore. I didn't even realize. So she was asking me when that cleared up and how long it took. I was like, I don't even know, because it was such a slow progression that I didn't realize. I mean,
but isn't it freeing? Because if you don't have extreme IBS like that, you do not understand what it's like to travel. Like you always have to know where a bathroom is.
Yeah.
Or the distance to home.
Yeah. Traveling was definitely really stressful. So especially if you're like in a small space, or, there's limited bathrooms that you're sharing with multiple people or whatever. Yeah, it was always stressful.
Or if you're in a client's home and you like have to go. I mean,
yes,
I can imagine what that feels like. Hey, Liz.
It's against company policy. I'm like, I mean, it's either that or your carpet. So
right. I mean, it is what it is. Right.
Yeah.
I get it. And you're even though they're a client and you're helping them, like it's a stranger's home. You don't want to have to do that. I don't even like going in public, but when I dealt with IBS, like I got over that really quick. It's just, you got to go, like the Desmopressin commercial that probably everybody's heard. You got to go right now, but that's for frequent urination. Mine was the opposite. Mine was just like really bad IBS, but anyway.
Yep.
Oh, what about your stubborn husband?
Oh yeah. So he was not doing it correctly at all. Like would not fast. Still
like his mom in the beginning.
Yeah. So he was definitely, I mean, probably half the time was doing it any kind of correctly at all. And it was like a month in, he accidentally forgot to take Prilosec, the medication for GERD. He'd been on Prilosec every day for 13 years, something like that. And he forgot to take it and realized, oh, I didn't get reflux today. He was like, well, let me just try tomorrow and see what happens. And now he's off of it. I guess he still is. And so after that, he was like, well, I guess I should take this more seriously. So he's actually he's actually been doing it. He's still not I can get him to skip breakfast sometimes and do the fasting part, but still not really great about that. But he's at least
Right.
on the T and doing the balance now, and it's still, I mean, he's dropping weight. Yeah, he had to come in and get suspenders today because his pants are falling off. So
Yeah, I keep telling, my husband's been at their house for 2 days, and I keep telling him, I'm like, listen, we really have got to get you some new clothes because, like, all of those were 60 pounds ago or something like that.
yeah.
So what? So I know that you're busy. Would you like to add anything else about the system? Anybody that you've invited, just get with Chelsea. She can help you. And if you have any questions, she can always reach out and we can do a free Zoom call or anything like that. So
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
yes, we'll get that. Yeah. All right.
There's some questions in the chat.
Yes, I was going to address those. Chelsea,
Okay.
if you need to dip out, that's cool. If you want to stay, you can stay too. So Donnie, I do not have a gallbladder. I haven't had it actually. That's why I had such extreme IBS, because my gallbladder was taken out 20 years ago. And so my IBS was eradicated in like 3 days. No kidding. I didn't even realize it at first. Like the first day, the second day, I kind of noticed I wasn't in the bathroom as much. And then by the end of day 3, I was going to bed and I thought, I only went to the bathroom once today. And it's been that way for the last 17 months. And so believe me when I tell you, I'm forever grateful for that. So yes, it actually helps with your gut health and not having a gallbladder. And I actually never thought it was going to get better because I didn't have a gallbladder. But actually it wasn't related to that at all. It was because I was highly insulin resistant. And so when you start to heal your gut health, and we're going to talk about a couple tools that we all use towards the end of the live, that actually help with gut health and healing our gut health. Michael, did you see any other questions?
One other question was, I hope I don't.
Do you have to have a low carb diet?
Do you have to eat a low carb diet on the Feel Great system?
You don't have to. Eating too many carbs and sugars and eating too frequently is what caused us to be insulin resistant. If you do eat a lower carb diet, you're just going to have even better, probably faster results. I don't diet. I do moderation. I prioritize protein, fruits and vegetables, and good fats. That's not to say that I don't have any carbs. I do. But the protocol, which we're getting ready to explain, it allows us a little bit of food freedom. We just can't use that as like a get out of jail free card or a crutch, and sometimes we do more than others, and then we realize, oh wait, I shouldn't have done that, because we get a little cheeky. Sometimes we say, I had a 2-balance meal, and you'll understand that in just a second. We don't do those very often, but it's there. It's sort of like hitting an easy button. Now, Carrie says that it's like having a 40% off coupon for your carbs, the balance that we're going to talk about. So, but we can't go into it just thinking I can still eat, a pizza a day and cheeseburgers and all of that, because really all of that processed food is just going to keep us sick and feeling bad, even though, you can combat it with the system that we're talking about. But yeah, I don't diet. Who else actually diets?
I eat as much food as I've always eaten. And that is a lot of food.
He eats like a dozen eggs a day, y'all.
And I've always been a power eater. I've always had those sugar cravings every 3 to 4 hours until I got on the Feel Great system, and until that I started working on reversing my insulin resistance. And I eat a lot. I really do. And I've still been able to lose 106 pounds in 7 months.
Right. And I'll be honest with you, my father-in-law, I had him on the system. He did not do it right. I wrote out, like, he's blind and deaf, he does not have hearing in one ear he had a skull fracture. Anyway, he can't hear in the other one, and he can't see. And he's got a magnifying glass and glasses, still can't see anything. He did it completely improperly. He just drank copious amounts of our tea. He drank the balance at off times. He literally ate whatever he wanted, and he dropped like 70 pounds. It was crazy. I don't recommend that, right? But really, the system really helps with that. And we really don't want to overwhelm you. So if the food thing feels overwhelming to you, we're going to start you off on the protocol and help you do that consistently and properly, and then we'll talk to you about food. Like, where it's not just, you have to do this and keto and download these recipes and throw everything out of your cabinet and your refrigerator and go shopping. Like, we don't want to overwhelm you. So Lindy, that's amazing.
Wow.
Okay. So, Ron, I know that you have been driving and you're pretty tuckered out. So Ron is a truck driver. And so he's going to talk to us about the difficulties of being an over-road the truck driver and just his nutrition. And then also how long he's been on the system and his results.
I ordered a system last January. I didn't start it until February 22nd, somewhere around there. I tried it 3 days before I came out on the road because I wanted to see how it would act. Within the 3 days, I lost 5 pounds. So I said, all right, this is pretty cool. So I knew it was just water weight, and I'll see how it goes. And I just was eating a little bit better, but not 100% better. Be honest with you. I mean, I was eating once in a while a hamburger, but it wasn't every day. Beforehand, before I started this, I was eating anywhere from 2 pizzas a day or 2 pizzas in a week. I would get a Mountain Dew and some Skittles and drive down the road and keep on going. Now it's more about planning my meals. I have a pressure cooker, air fryer in my truck, and I actually can cook my meals as I'm driving down the road. Makes my life a lot easier. Just the other day, I had a 5-pound turkey breast. I put it in the pressure cooker for 2.5 hours, and once it kicks over after 2.5 hours, it keeps everything warm. So once I was able to stop and do something, I got back here and turned the air fryer on for 10-15 minutes and crisped up the skin. So once I got done my driving for the day, my dinner was done. So I put everything in a bag and ate what I can, and then put it in the bag for the next day, and so forth and so on. Today I had a chicken breast that I had split up. I buy packets of chicken. I buy pork loins. I buy big pieces of meat, and I cut them up and freeze them, and then I bring them into the truck. It makes my life a lot easier from what I'm at.
And you bought you recently bought the Ninja.
Yeah, it's a Ninja 11-in-1 or 14-in-1. Hold on, let me.
You told me.
There it is right there.
It's like an air fryer and an instant pot, like all in one.
Yeah, you can make yogurt in it. You can sear, you can dehydrate, you can boil, you can bake and roast, you can steam, air crisp, saute, and pressure cook, all in one.
So it's
cool.
It's allowed him to be able to eat healthier because gas stations don't have any healthy food. Maybe boiled eggs, but I would be afraid to see what preservatives are in those for how long they sit there. So what are so talk about the results that you have, like energy, inches lost, weight loss.
I'm down 46 pounds. Was 4X. I'm down to a size large. I probably could fit into a medium, but I don't have a medium to try. So I went from a size 56 to a 44 in pants, and all in 1 year, not even quite a year. So, yeah, it's crazy.
And what about, like, have you noticed anything with your energy, sleeping, inflammation, pain, anything like that?
It's hard for me to sleep. Anyway,
Well, you are in a truck, so it's a
hard
little
for me to,
different.
yeah. The only time I actually get sleep is when I go home. But yeah, I get about 4 or 5 hours a night, and I'm usually good. And I could drive 10 hours a day on 4 or 5 hours of sleep, so which is no big deal.
What about your knees?
Yeah, my knees are getting better, but that's just abuse of carrying all that weight for years.
Right.
I mean, Michael, just to tell you that it's the amount of pressure and damage we've done to ourselves over the years carrying all the weight.
Right.
You know, it doesn't take. You know, it's just you just got to build it back. It doesn't. There's no. I mean, yeah, I had 2 knee operations. Both of them were meniscus, and I had lost weight before. I lost 100 pounds before, and I went back to the knee doctor who did my one surgery, and I said, "What's going on? Why am I still having pain?" And he just came out and he just shook his head. He goes, "There's so much arthritis, and there's nothing we can
Right.
do." So hopefully, with this, it'll take a while, but at least eat away at the arthritis and get it out. I mean, I've seen myself walking further. I had to walk quite a distance today, and I did it with no problem. Wasn't out of breath or anything like that. Now, beforehand, I would have probably had to stop like 6 times just to go where I was going.
Right.
So it was pretty far, but now I can actually do it in one take and not 4 or 5 takes.
Right. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate that.
All righty. I'm going to go. Sorry.
Okay. Are you going to dip out? Okay. Thanks, Ron. All right. Tanya. Tanya's got a very interesting story. So I mentioned earlier, insulin resistance causes most things that's wrong with us. And Dr. Bickman says if it's not a genetic anomaly, a viral or bacteria, it's probably caused by insulin resistance. And Tanya's story is one of a genetic anomaly. And so I'm going to let her tell her story, but it's pretty amazing just how much insulin resistance affects things that aren't caused by insulin resistance and the results that people can have that are surprising. All right, Miss Tanya.
All right. Yeah. So on that, I do have this rare genetic disease. It's called congenital myasthenic syndrome, DOK7. Anybody wants to know? Basically, what that means, and I'll tell you, I have read everything I can, and everything is research papers. So, it's just rare, and that the malfunction in the junction between my nerves and muscles, and that our nerves tell our muscles when to contract. I can't tell you exactly how it works, but with the more I do in a day, the weaker I get. Like, it wears the muscles out. And, I was diagnosed at 19, but it was something I was born with. Didn't find out what it was until then. And I've had a very sedentary life because of that. I really wasn't able to do a lot. My early 20s, I wasn't able to work. I had to quit work, file for disability. And couldn't exercise by a certain point, and the weight just kind of kept creeping on, even though I tried a lot of different kinds of diets and things like that. Nothing. I think 13 pounds is the most that I have ever lost doing anything I ever tried.
Wow.
Yeah. I know I hear people talk all the time, oh, I could lose the weight, but I reached a point, well, I never could.
Yeah, me neither.
I couldn't exercise to help myself, so that deferred it, and I just really didn't have the right information all these years. But also, because I think it was 30, I found out I was at my heaviest at 30. I developed high blood pressure and put on medication. At 32, I found out that I had sleep apnea. And with this disease I have, that is a common thing that people develop respiratory problems. And that happened for me. I was put on a BiPAP machine at night to sleep and supplemental oxygen, which I was on 24/7. And I was on 24/7 for 17 years. And then type 2 diabetes. I lost my mom at 51 to complications from diabetes. That was a scary thing. And again, I was making those dietary changes. I was really trying to do what I could to get it down. I just couldn't, and I felt really, really defeated at a certain point. 'Cause I even went to diabetes classes, trying to learn what to do, right? And just couldn't get it down, couldn't get the weight down. And scrolling my social media, landed on this and learned about insulin resistance and this system that we're going to talk about, or that she has. And I started in June of 2023. And within 4.5 months, I was off my diabetes meds. Turned that around, off my blood pressure med. I was on one to help with my breathing, off all of those. And I don't have to have the oxygen during the day anymore, which is a huge thing. I had liquid oxygen. I'd have to fill up my little tank and take that with me every time I left my house. It was only good for 5 to 6 hours. So I either had to take the big tank with us or come back and fill it up. I was so tired, exhausted all the time. Where I was at before I found this, I was really struggling. I was having a lot more bad days than good. Scary days, when you feel like we bought a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I was really afraid I was going to have to start using it and just trying to figure that out, looking at hiring somebody to come in and clean my house because I just couldn't do it.
Right.
And when you don't feel good physically, that affects your mental health as well.
Mm-hmm.
With depression, anxiety had gotten bad. All of that has improved. Where I struggled some days just getting out of bed, getting dressed. It was an effort just to get dressed. Some days I couldn't brush my hair very well. I'd have to brace my arm against a wall and walk by the comb.
Listen, I know, I understand that so much.
Right? Well, oh, yes, you do, because of, yeah. Guys, I try not to over exaggerate anything, but I was struggling. So I have come so far since then. I can walk. I just walked a mile today on the treadmill. That's not something I ever saw in my future. I can go swimming. I couldn't get into the water fully because the water, when it would come up across my chest and my diaphragm, put so much pressure on it that it made it hard to breathe. I can go in the water and enjoy that now.
Right.
There's just so many things that has improved. I've lost 50 pounds. I feel amazing. The energy levels, I used to spend 10 or 12 hours in bed and get up for a few hours and then go back to bed for a few. I don't take naps anymore, Unless I just have a night that I only got 3 or 4 hours sleep, I might go take a nap. But
right.
I feel amazing. And, this helped my husband as well, too. And we both feel like we're back in our 30s and we're in our 50s. So.
Yes. Her husband, Royal, would tell you that he's reversed his ED and he's happy about it. So, if there's some gentlemen listening, ED is caused by insulin resistance about 99% of the time.
And
so, yeah, and low testosterone. So if you're having that issue, you can reach out. And if you don't want to talk to us girls, there's a couple guys on the panel that you can talk to. Or you can talk to Tanya's husband, too. Royal's real nice. I think we always say that we're married to the same person, just genetically different makeups. So thank you so much, Tanya. If you have any questions for Tanya, just put them in the comments. Or any questions for anybody, type 2 diabetes, PCOS, any of the other things. So, Debbie.
Hey.
Sorry. Debbie, how did we meet, Debbie?
Basically through TikTok. That's where I found you.
Right. I think Chelsea is probably the only one that didn't learn about this on TikTok. And that's just because her mother-in-law had ulterior motives for her. But I heard it on TikTok. So, Debbie, so just tell us when you started the system, Michael listened for 6 months. How long did you listen to me?
Gosh, I don't really remember exactly how long. I just kept remember I would look at TikTok, I'd listen to you for a while, and then I would just scroll on, and then I come back to you again, and so it just took a little while for me to get there. But finally I was just like, okay, I'm gonna jump in on this because I got to do something. For me, I was dealing with type 2 diabetes. I had an A1C level of 14. I go back to the doctor actually next Friday, so I'm waiting to see if I hear any better news.
Oh, that's
So, but I've
exciting.
taken my A1C from a 14 down to a 6.7 so far. So, to me, that's amazing. My doctor actually let me get off of, I was on metformin for a little while, but then I didn't like that. So he put me on something called Glyburide, which I took for a while.
Yeah,
Glyburide.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah. Glipizide, glyburide. It's
Yeah,
all the
all
same.
those Zides or whatever. Anyways, so
Right. The zippity doo does.
yeah, the zippity doo does for sure. Um, so anyways, like I don't know, for some reason he was, of course, the thing that he was preaching to me was, eat less, exercise, do something. But for me, I just wasn't seeing any change even, and then he just kept upping my dose of the medication, and I was just actually gaining more weight and just feeling crappier. So I was like, okay, I need to do something. And like I said, I came across, Michelle on TikTok. And the other thing that I was dealing with too that was actually scaring me was my eyesight was kind of going wonky. It was
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like blurry and stuff. So I was just like, oh my gosh, something's not right here. Um, so then I decided to jump on, and when I jumped on, that was in it'll be almost a year because my birthday's coming up in February, and I started it probably the week before my birthday week. So almost a year, and like I said, my A1C has gone from a 14 down to a 6.7. I've lost 40 pounds. Um, yeah, it's amazing. You never really realize how much 40 pounds really is until you're
Right.
I was like carrying a 20-pound ham
Right.
into the house during Christmas
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah. Like carrying 2 big turkeys and you wonder where the heck
yeah,
you put them.
exactly. I
It's
was like,
like, I've lost 100 pounds and I still need to lose 120 pounds, and I'm like, but where was it
yeah,
all
where did it
at?
all? Yeah,
You know?
I agree.
I
So
equated to dog
it's
sacks of dog food.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
crazy. But let's see here. What else? For me, it's definitely improved my mood because especially during this time of year, I deal with seasonal affective disorder, and I noticed that it helps me tremendously with that. And then I'm just definitely way more energetic. We went on vacation over the summer in July, and I was actually I was pretty impressed with myself because we went to Georgia, and we actually literally like up a side of a mountain. It took me a while to get up there. It was really 4,000 feet up in the air, the highest part in Georgia, but I made it and I did it, and I probably wouldn't have been able to do that if I had been 30-40 pounds heavier. um, so like I enjoyed my vacation with my kids and my grandkids because I was able to do a lot more things than I had been in a long time. So to me, this is really getting me moving back in the right direction as to where I want to be and how I want to feel. And just this, I don't know if anybody else looks at my Facebook, but my son and I call her my daughter-in-law, but they just got engaged on Saturday. So I'm super excited. So got a wedding to plan.
All
I want
right.
to be
You're going to look fabulous at this
exactly.
wedding.
And so that's what I want to do. I want to, continue this journey, keep feeling as well as I do. My aches and pains are basically non-existent for the most part. So yeah,
Right.
so this has been a definite life improver, lifesaver. and I'm gonna keep going because of the way it makes me feel.
We're
Yeah,
like
oh yeah,
this.
for sure.
Well, it also and like it also just makes it so I've traveled in the I'm sorry. I've traveled more in the last 17 months, or probably the last, I guess, effectively 14 months or so. And I've traveled all the way to Asia, and I take the system with me. Like, it's the easiest thing to do. It's literally the easiest thing I've done. Now, we're going to let Jimmy tell his story, and then we're going to actually tell you. Is it cutting out still?
I got a call, so I'm going to hop out and I can come back.
Okay. I don't know. Who knows? It gets cold here in Texas and everything stops working. So sorry guys. So I'm gonna let Jimmy's got a great story. Because there's a lot of people that I know with thyroid issues. And Jimmy had that, and I'm gonna let him tell his story. And then we're gonna tell you what the protocol is. Like, we've all been doing the same thing. We sort of It's like a little bit of an easy button. It helps us get through food cravings and food noise and get over the humps, and where we're not feeling like we're hangry and want to eat everything into oblivion. And so we're going to explain that, and then if you have any questions, put them in the comments. We really would like to answer those. So Jimmy, you healthy bartender man, you're up.
Hey guys. So yeah, I go by the Healthy Bartender on many of these platforms except for Facebook. Facebook, I'm just my name, but it's because I am a bartender, and I used to not be healthy, and with this protocol that we're talking about, I was able to become healthy again. Um, so when it all started was about 12 and a half years ago. I had lost like 50 pounds in the matter of 2 months. And I was like, oh my gosh, something's going on. So I went to the doctor, and I had gotten diagnosed with hyperthyroidism. So I had an overactive thyroid. When I asked the doctor, how can we fix this? What's going to be the best thing to do? His first thing was probably just to have your thyroid removed. We can either burn it off with some medication, or we can, surgically remove it. And I was like, well, what's going to be the fastest way to fix this? Because I'm tired of feeling like this. And he was like, surgically remove it. So I was like, well, you're the doctor, it's best. And so that's, what I decided to do. So 12 years ago, I had my thyroid removed. I had a total thyroidectomy. So now I'm going to be a hypothyroid for the rest of my life. So it's going to be underactive. So I will be on levothyroxine / Synthroid for the rest of my life. Basically, after I got that removed, that's when everything started going downhill for me. It started with, gaining weight. You look at a cheeseburger and 5 pounds directly to your butt, and it was just horrible. For those of you that have hypothyroidism, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and it really sucks. So then you've got to go to the doctor every 3 months to go get lab work done, just to try to get your thyroid levels correctly. And next thing I know, they're telling me that I'm pre-diabetic. Then I go back 3 months later, and they're like, "Hey, your blood pressure is getting a little high. We're gonna have to throw you on this." And then you go back 3 months later, and they're like, "It looks like you might have a fatty liver. We need you to go get a sonogram. That way, we can diagnose if you've got a fatty liver." And I'm like, "Oh, that's just great." So I got diagnosed with that. And then next time I go, now you're type 2 diabetic. So now we're going to throw you on Farxiga. And it's like, they're just throwing me on all these different medications. I had acid reflux after I had the surgery and everything. It was just really bad. Sleep apnea, depression came along because of all of these different issues. Then erectile dysfunction, even at my young age. I'm only in my mid 40s, but when all this began was in my early 40s, and I'm like, wow, I guess this is what it's like to get old. And life just began to suck, and I got really big. I was almost 300 pounds. I was wearing, 2X, probably should have been in a 3X, t-shirt. Got up to 42 in my pants, and it was horrible. And I got to the point into my life where I I had no energy, no thrive, no drive. I had lost all ambition to do anything. I was just kind of going through the motions of life, and it just sucked. I really gave up. My wife will be the first one to tell you I gave up on life. I could care less if I was here or not. Luckily, one evening back in 2023, it was early in May of 2023. I was just scrolling on TikTok because I was just tired. I was just laying in bed and just scrolling, and I came across a guy. He was talking about insulin resistance, and so I started listening, and I was like, man, I got a lot of those symptoms. So I've kind of followed him, and then kept scrolling again and came across another guy talking about insulin resistance, and he was talking about the same system. And I was like, well, this is kind of weird. And I actually resonated with this guy more. He was like, yeah, I'm a type 2 diabetic. And, I lost my dad at an early age. I lost my granddad at an early age. And I was like, hey, so did I. And I was like, I'm actually probably on that same boat. Like, I'm probably going to die at an early age too. And so I ended up following him, and I listened in the background for at least 2 months before I said, you know what, I think I'm going to go ahead and give this protocol a try, because I've tried everything else, and it's like, they kind of worked. It's like, you would lose 5 pounds and then you would gain 10. You'd lose 10 pounds, but then you'd gain 20. And it was just kind of like this big yo-yo, and it sucked. So anyways, I ordered the system because of the 90-day money-back guarantee. That's the only reason why I ordered it, because I was going to get my money back in the 90 days. I'm super cheap. I'm very frugal. Like,
Listen,
I was like,
listen. Did you have it set on your calendar, an alarm, and everything at 89 days, like my friend Leslie?
Oh yeah.
Oh, did you? Because when she was in our live the other, like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, I didn't know she did that, and I thought, are you serious? Like, you literally set an alarm for 89 days? She's like, yeah.
And I saw I literally noticed like all of these changes that were happening to me after I started, but I ordered it, and I ordered it because I wanted the weight loss. I was told my whole life that, when you're type 2 diabetic, you're going to always be type 2. Your dad had type 2, his whole family has type 2, so you're going to be type 2. Both of your parents have high blood pressure, so you're going to have high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, I'm not going into this to change any of that stuff, because it's chronic and progressive, like we've been told. So I'm just going in this for weight loss. Well, it came to my door within 3 to 4 days, and I put it in my pantry for like 2 weeks, and it just sat there. And then I was kind of like, what am I doing? Like, all these people keep telling all their amazing stories and whatnot. I need to start. Like, what am I waiting for? So I told my wife, I said, hey, let's pack up the car. Let's go to the beach. I want to have one last hoorah before, I get started on this. Tomorrow I'm going to start on that system, and I'm going to change my life forever. And I was kind of BSing myself. Like I'm going to change my life forever. Little did I know, I did change my life forever when I started it. And I was all in, because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I was all in. I made sure that I took the fiber, that I drank the tea, and that I fasted for at least 16 hours. But I started off at 18 hours. But I was all in, and I was consistent with it. I didn't change my diet. The only thing that I changed was no more breakfast and no more snacking. I still, being a bartender, going in late at night, or late, kind of late in the day, getting off late at night. I can only get fast food. I can't, disturb my wife and my son when I get home, and, be clanking pans around in the kitchen. So I was still eating fast food. And I really don't recommend y'all do that, but I was doing that. And in that 90 days, guys.
Well, even still, you can still make healthier choices, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Like throw away a bun, or Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and go for the grilled options rather than the
Right.
fried options. But yeah, I was doing that. But in that 90 days, guys, I swear to you, it was totally life changing. I was able to reverse my type 2 diabetes. My A1C went from a 7.6 to a 5.5. I reversed my fatty liver disease. The sleep apnea started going away. The blood pressure started normalizing. Depression was gone like within the first week. I had so much focus and so much energy. It was crazy. I didn't know where that came from. Acid reflux was gone. The ED was going away. Like everything was just kind of falling into place. I lost 46 pounds in that first 90 days, and I didn't tell my coach about it at all because, like I said, I was going to get my money back. But then when I took my before
You're
picture,
determined.
I took my before picture and then I took my after picture at the 90 days, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like when you see yourself every day, you don't really see the changes.
Mhm.
And when I actually took that picture and like put them side by side, I was like, wow. So I finally like texted my coach and I sent him the pictures and I was like, well, the reason why you
Well,
haven't really heard from me is because I wanted to get my money back. But because I've got my health back now, um, I'm not going to get my money back. But I do want to see how far I can push this. So now I've been on the system for 19 months. I believe tomorrow will be 19 months, and I'm down 88 pounds and off of 8 medications total. And it's been life changing. And now
I am
even we've got my son and my wife are both on the protocol as well.
Here's Jimmy.
That was my 7 month or 8 month picture, I believe.
7 month or 8 month picture, and I'm not on my computer. I'm on Carrie's, so it's a little.
Special.
Well, I'm just trying
Sorry
to.
for
Yeah, Jimmy, do you have your photos?
this is my 90 days.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, nice.
And then this is Michael's. That's Michael's 90 day. And then mine and my husband's. I just saw it. Your eyeballs play tricks on you. Oh, this is Joe's. I met Joe early on. Joe has lost like 150 pounds. Just look at that. And if you want to know about loose skin, just look at Joe. I mean, it's going to happen because we're bigger people if you are a bigger person, but you can just tell it's healing you. It's not like we had weight loss surgery or we're using those zippity doodah jabs that everybody's using. So it is different. So this is me. I weighed 400 pounds when I started. That's so depressing. This is my husband. He needs new britches too. I'm trying to find Debbie's.
You know, I had somebody ask me the other day. You mentioned loose skin.
Mhm.
I've never really thought about that. Even though I'm down like 105, 106 pounds, I don't have
So Robert
anything
just
that's I guess what's sagging, I guess you would call the term, because I've
Right.
saw some people locally here where I live that's lost 100 pounds on Ozempic, and they literally look like they've got some type of big, thick skin bodysuit on. It's just
Right.
hanging everywhere. And what people don't realize is the scientific facts behind those GLP-1 injections. You're losing 40% of muscle mass when you lose weight on those GLP-1
And bone loss.
receptor agonists and
bone density.
injections. And if you lose 100 pounds on that, you've just lost 40 pounds of muscle. I don't know how
Muscle
many
and bone,
people.
yep.
I don't enjoy going to gyms, but how many hours would you have to spend building 40 pounds of muscle back?
You're just not at our age. You're just
No.
not.
Not as
And the
an
bone
adult.
and the bone loss we're not going to combat. That's the problem, and that's what they don't tell people. They don't tell people you're losing 40% muscle loss and bone loss. And so Dr. Bickman talks about unless you're like an 18, 19-year-old male, not even females at 18 or 19, but 18, 19-year-old male, could you possibly combat getting the bone loss back? And so that's why people, they call it O face and O butt. People talk about, oh my gosh, I lost my butt. Well, your butt is a muscle. What else is a muscle?
Your
40%
heart.
of
Your heart.
your heart is a muscle. And so they just don't tell, like, listen, I understand the desperation. I get it. I think everybody here can understand the desperation of wanting to lose weight. We all want to look better. Nobody wants to weigh 400 pounds, almost 500 pounds. Debbie, I'm not sure where you started. Nobody wants that. And so, I understand the desperation, but it's not worth the dangers when you have an all natural alternative. And the one thing, besides the dangers, besides the muscle loss and the bone loss and all of the things, the cost, how expensive it is, the one thing it doesn't do is it will never, ever, ever reverse the root cause of the problem, which is insulin resistance. While you're taking it, you're going to have some kind of therapeutic action. As soon as you stop taking it, it's done. The problem still exists. The weight's going to come back and then some because of what it's doing to the fat cells in your body. They don't tell you any of this, but it doesn't ever reverse the problem. So, Michael, would you like to take step 1 in the protocol?
Yes,
Because I know we've been on about an hour, and so I'm trying to, not go too far over time. But do you want to take step 1 in the protocol?
Sure. Step 1 for me was the intermittent fasting, or time-based eatings, as we like to call it. I think most of us, we try to get around 16 hours of fasting time in and 8 hours of eating time. And the reason being, the standard American diet for most people is when we wake up in the morning and get ready for work, get the kids ready for school and everything, we consume breakfast, whether it be a bowl of cereal, bowl of oatmeal, or sausage, egg, and cheese in the microwave. We're consuming food. We're elevating our insulin as soon as we get up. We get to school, get to work. For me, that 9 o'clock break rolled around. I was in the break room getting that snack out of the machine. People get the coffee, pour the sugar and creamer to it. We're elevating our insulin again. Lunch rolls around. Sub sandwich, chips, drink, elevating our insulin. Then in the evening, around 3 or 4 o'clock, I needed to pick me up. I was drained. My go-to was a bag of Doritos and a Diet Mountain Dew. Pushing that insulin up, and then we, come home and eat supper. And regardless of what we eat, we're pushing that insulin up. So what we're doing as standard Americans, from the time we get up all the way around the clock, we're consuming food every 3 or 4 hours. Our bodies are not designed to be digesting food 24 hours a day. We need to give our bodies a break. And the simplest thing that we've been able to find on this protocol is an 8-hour eating window and a 16-hour eating window. For me, 12 o'clock noon to 8 p.m. fits my schedule. I'm coaching people that work second shift, third shift, and swing shift. We try to develop this system around your lifestyle. You can find you an 8-hour eating window and a 16-hour eating window. And when I'm done eating at 8 o'clock, my insulin levels start coming down. It takes 4 to 10 hours for normally people to get their insulin levels down low enough to go from carb burning mode into fat burning mode. Dr. Lindsay Pale, she stated one time in one of our live streams, if you're very, very insulin resistant, and I know I was in the beginning, it can take up to 18 hours for insulin to come down low enough that you could even get to that fat burning mode. And so I'm done eating at 8 o'clock. My insulin starts coming down while I'm sleeping for 8 hours, which is half of that 16-hour fasting time. My insulin can come down low enough to go from carb burning mode over into fat burning mode. And then when I wake up, I just skip breakfast because the word breakfast is break fast. I don't want to break my fast when I wake up. I simply extend it out until 12 noon. That gives me 16 hours that I'm fasting every day and 8 hours to consume food. And I eat probably more food than anybody that's listening to me right now because I break my fast every day with around a dozen eggs and 6 to 8 strips of bacon. And I've still been able to lose, around 105 or 6 pounds the last 7 months. So that's step number one is the intermittent fasting. That's what this protocol designed with the other two things, you'll have success.
So, step 2 in the protocol is consuming chlorogenic acid. And most people are like, what is chlorogenic acid? Chlorogenic acid is an insulin sensitizer. It's a naturally occurring compound found in plants. It's just plant-based. It's found in fruits and vegetables, some green tea, green coffee, black coffee, green coffee beans, green tea, black coffee, and a plant called yerba mate. The tea that we consume, we consume 2 teas a day. Thank you, Jimmy, because mine are behind me. I can't reach them. We drink 2 of those a day. We sip on the teas. So Michael was talking about we do intermittent fasting. We get up in the morning and we skip breakfast. What we start doing is sipping on the tea. The tea does not break our fast. That's a question that we get most often. And it helps suppress our hunger hormone, which is called ghrelin, and it helps us extend our fast. So I know the most questions that I had personally for Jim was about fasting, because I had tried fasting 3 other times, failed gloriously, miserably. And it's because I wasn't armed with the right information. My brother's like, just do this and this. And I tried, it was awful. And so it helps extend our fast. It makes the fasting easier. It also will get rid of food cravings and food noise because those are real things for a lot of people. I do know a lot of people are on those shots because they're like, oh, I can't go back to the food noise or the food cravings. Well, guess what? You can actually fix that all naturally and you don't have to use those. So other things with the chlorogenic acid, it will stimulate your natural GLP-1 production. So we're sipping on 2 of these teas. It stimulates your natural GLP-1 production by 70% in a fasted state. So it's stimulating that GLP-1 production all day. It gives us energy. I equate it to just feeling awake and alert. I don't feel jittery. There's no like rush of energy. You just feel like you had a really good night's sleep, in my opinion. And I, like Michael, had chronic fatigue. I could wake up and feel like I haven't slept in a week, and I just slept 12 hours, It also clears your brain fog. My brain fog was so bad. I thought I literally had early onset dementia or Alzheimer's in my early 40s. I'm 45. I'll be 46 in a few months in April. So it clears your brain fog. It gives you mental clarity and mental focus, which is good for all of us. My youngest son is a college football athlete. The tea also helps athletes. It increases your aerobic performance, your stamina, and also your strength by 13%. And it also lowers your oxidative stress by 50%, which we all need, especially athletes, but even us old folks that have ailments and pains and things like that. So it's also helping lower our oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is going to lower inflammation and a lot of other things that happen in your body when you have, oxidative stress, especially with our veins and heart disease. Just FYI. And so it also helps with our mood and our sense of well-being. I guess I didn't want to admit that I was as depressed as I was. I knew it was more situationally than clinical depression, but potato, right? It's helped greatly with that. I would say I was never on medication because I literally refused to take it. I just didn't want to be prescribed any kind of medication. And so, Rusty, we do a 16 and 8. So we fast for 16 hours. So most of that time is overnight. And when we wake up in the morning, we just skip breakfast and we don't snack. But, if you feel concerned, there's other options that we can do to kind of ease into it. So it really helps with ADD, ADHD, depression, and anxiety as well. It's going to lower your blood pressure and lower your glucose. Now, if you don't have blood pressure or glucose issues, it's not like medication. So, like, if I were to take one of the blood pressure pills that Michael was on, my blood pressure would plummet because I didn't have blood pressure problems. So, when you drink the tea, it's not like that. Like, if you have those issues, it starts to help you and heal you with that problem. So, don't think of it like medication. Um, the only side effect of this, it's a natural GLP-1. It's getting rid of the cravings and the food noise and suppressing the hunger hormone. It eats your belly fat. It gets rid of inches. It gets rid of 20, 24, 25, 21 of 25 meds. The only side effect is weight loss. So this isn't a weight loss protocol. The side effect is weight loss. So when you start to get your insulin resistance and you start to heal these diseases or issues that we have, it also starts to help your body go into fat burning mode. When we're insulin resistant, it's nearly impossible to lose weight. And it's because our body cannot switch from fuel burning, which is the food that we're eating all the time, right? It can't switch from fuel burning to fat burning mode, which is producing the ketones. Our brain runs off of two things: glucose and ketones. Where does our food noise and cravings come from? It comes from our brain. Because when we go on a diet or eating a calorie deficit or all these things that we've tried, and I always said it's like a gremlin sitting on my shoulder when I would be dieting, and it would be like, eat it, eat it, eat it. And so then we get mad at ourselves. We're like, oh, I'm so weak. The thing is it's literally a physiological thing. Your brain is communicating to your body because you can't produce ketones and your glucose is running low and it needs glucose to run your entire body. And so your brain is telling you to eat. That's where the cravings and the food noise comes from. And it does affect a lot of people. So it suppresses all of that. And when our body switches from fat burning or from fuel burning or like what we're eating to fat burning, that's when it starts eating our love handles, which I, for one, like, because I had a lot of love handles. I still have some, but they're slowly going away. So that's step 2 in the protocol. So step 1, intermittent fasting. We fast for at least 16 hours a day. Most of the time we're sleeping. We skip breakfast and don't snack. And step 2 is consuming the chlorogenic acid, which we do through the tea. Jimmy, do you want to explain step 3?
Hey, don't forget the chlorogenic acid is also a novel insulin sensitizer.
Yes, it is. It's an insulin sensitizer. You can look it up in the PubMed. It actually says that chlorogenic acid can relieve the effects of or prevent diabetes mellitus, which is type 2 diabetes. So is type 2 diabetes 100% reversible? Absolutely. I would say 98, 99% of people have type 2 diabetes because of insulin resistance. The other portion could be from some kind of genetic anomaly, which is rare. Also, like if you have an injury to like your pancreas or something, if somebody got pancreatitis or something like that, that was really severe, that could injure or cause some kind of issue, and it could cause a person to be type 2 diabetic. But we've even seen good results with type 1 diabetics. They typically end up using less insulin. It's not going to reverse it because obviously they have a fundamental issue with their pancreas to begin with. But we have seen many people use this protocol even as a type 1. All right, Jimmy, step 3.
So I'm not really good at this, but I'll do the best that I can.
I can help you if you need it.
So step 3 is going to be adding fiber into our diets, more fiber, because we don't get enough fiber in our diet. The big food companies and just everywhere in general, they've stripped the fiber from our foods. And why is that? Because fiber makes us full, and if they strip it, then we're going to want more. And you just kind of follow the money trail. But the fiber that we take is right here, and we've got one of these that we take before our largest carb heavy meal of the day. I actually personally buy extra, that way I can take one before each of my meals.
I do as well.
You can do that. So this isn't just your basic fiber that you would find at the grocery store, like your grandma's Metamucil or Benefiber. Those are only a single source of fiber, either psyllium husk or wheat dextrin. They've got lots of additives, sugars. Those will just make you go to the bathroom. They'll help you. They'll help you go poop, is what I like to say. That's not like this. This is, 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers. It's a nice matrix of fibers that turns into a nice viscous gel in your stomach. And so what it does, it helps, coat all of the food, helps bring down your blood glucose,
Yeah, your blood glucose.
your cholesterol.
Gives us a little
It's
food freedom.
amazing. Yeah. And like Carrie likes to say, 40% off coupon when it comes to eating your carbs. It's got 9 different essential vitamins and minerals that are in it. So this is like my new daily vitamin. I take this for my vitamin now. I don't take a daily vitamin anymore.
I don't either.
But all we do is mix it with like 6 to 8 ounces of water. Some people like to do a little bit less, but we just shake it up, mix it with the water, and we just knock it back like we're back in college and pounding down shots. And then we just eat right away. And it's amazing.
This particular fiber right here has been this fiber. They have the Cleveland Clinic. How many of you have heard of the Cleveland Clinic? In 2022, 2023, voted the #1 cardiovascular clinic in the United States. They are the pioneers at inventing the heart stent. They studied this fiber right here, and they said this product taken daily can reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially eliminate the need and dosage for any type of lipid-lowering medication, which is a statin. If you go to the doctor and you get blood work done and they check your triglycerides and your cholesterol, your LDLs and HDLs, and they're slightly elevated. I mean, don't even have to really be elevated. Some can't if you do some research, they want to put you on a statin as a preventative.
Right.
But statins cause type 2 diabetes. They cause renal failure. They cause kidney failure. They cause pancreatitis. If you printed it out, it's 4 pages long. If you go to the PDR.net.
Right.
The #1 prescribed medication in the United States is a statin, which is Lipitor. And it causes us to be insulin resistant.
Right.
This is our statin. All night.
Yeah, they ask people for medical history, and they look at heart disease and they look at type 2 diabetes, but they're not hereditary. I belong to a couple diabetes support groups, and the misinformation is just so overwhelming to me. And, I didn't know this 17 months ago either. My grandmother had diabetes, but now that I know it and I know what this does and how it's healing me and it's saving my life, literally, Michael, it's saving your life. Jimmy, it's saving your life. You talked about, the time spent with your son and stuff like that. And you and I had a little cry bout, because I told you I've often thought about how my life would be different because this has been around for over 30 years. How my kids' lives would be different because I didn't take them to the park because I had extreme exhaustion. My fatigue was so bad. I didn't want to. I was crankier with them than I should have been because I just felt awful, and nobody could tell me what was wrong with me. I didn't eat super unhealthy. I didn't drink soda or pop, or I didn't snack. I didn't even buy my kids snacks, like that. I just didn't. I cooked for them. And I just couldn't understand why on earth I couldn't lose weight and why I felt so bad. And when you learn this and you learn how it heals people, and Michael's gotten rid of 21 medications and diabetes and has lost 105 pounds and he's getting his life back. And it's like, you literally want to scream it from the rooftops. And that's why we do these lives. You can consume chlorogenic acid. You can consume fiber on your own, Our system that we use, the tools that we choose to use, is $5.30 a day. There's 5 patents, there's 14 clinical trials, and Michael was mentioning one of those clinical trials. It's been around for 35 years plus. This is originally a Rexall drug company. Rexall's been around for over 100 years. Most of you watching probably remembers Rexall drugs. We're in 64 countries. We just got Japan about a week and a half ago. 64 countries. That should tell you something. I've tried Advocare. I've tried all of these companies. Guess what? They're not. They're not global. They're not healing people all across the globe. And there's a 90-day money back guarantee, $5.30 a day. Michael didn't think he could afford it, right? And Michael, just touch on what you figured out in the first 3 to 4 months of being on this system.
Well, first of all, I was spending $8 a day every day at my local diner here in Mississippi where I live. And so I skip breakfast now. 3 times 8 is 24. It's $240 a month. I'm saving just by skipping breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
That allows me to purchase this system and put about $60 in my pocket. I've been able to come off of this bag full of things that my doctors had me on. That was $300 a month just in copays. I don't have to pay anymore. That's $540 just in those 2 things there. I've quit going to McDonald's and Subway and Sonic and all of those places. Shopping the outer aisles of the grocery stores now instead of the middle aisles, because all you're going to find is this middle aisles is junk. We do them a favor by calling it junk food, because it's either junk or it's either food, and it can't be both. And but the food companies have just highly processed every single thing. And after about 4 months on the system, maybe this will show up. This was a graph that my bank account actually, maybe it'll adjust in just a second.
Turn the brightness. Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
And so you can see this right down here. Right down there toward the bottom was between June and July. I started the system July 1st of 2024. There was a steady increase and rise in my checking account. And I'm thinking, where is this extra money coming from? I mean, because I only get 1 check a month from, on a fixed income. And then it dawned on me that I was skipping the breakfast. I don't have to buy the copays for the meds anymore. I buy,
which you said was $300 a month, right? Your copays.
I was saving $650 a month. And then therefore, at the end of 4 months, I had like an extra $2,800 in my checking account and didn't have a clue where it came from. And so I never would have known that if my bank hadn't actually made that chart for me. Mm-hmm. And I think it speaks volumes about people that's, when I do live streams, the number one issue seems to be cost. Right. For $5, I went to Starbucks. I waited 20 minutes in a drive-thru just to get this Starbucks Frappa Lapa, Whoopa Lapa, whatever they call all their drinks. $10.71.
Yeah, $10.
This is how much sugar that you're getting in one of those large Starbucks drinks. I mean, you can't even get a Starbucks coffee for less than $7. Our system is $5.30 a day.
And it saves your life.
It's absolutely saving my life and making me money in the process of it.
Right. Unicity is very generous. So none of us started our digital franchise for money purposes. We started doing this to help people. Because like I said, when you learn how we get sick, first of all, read the book, Why We Get Sick by Dr. Ben Bickman. Honestly, I messaged Jim by the end of chapter 2 and just told him I was pissed off. You guys screenshot it, buy it. You can get it on Amazon. all kinds of places. Audible, I have it on both. By the end of chapter 2, I was angry because we're not told these things. Why are we not told these things? I didn't understand why we weren't told these things. The thing is Big Pharma is the biggest contributor to all of the medical schools in the US. And why does Big Pharma want us healed? They don't. They lose money if we learn how to heal ourselves. And so that's the first thing, is read that. So when we learn about this, the first thing you want to do is to tell your friends and family, because you love them, right? And then they tell their friends and family. Unicity is very generous. Unicity doesn't do affiliates. Unicity will never advertise. Unicity knows what they have. They know that this saves lives. And they want people growing people. They want people helping people. And that's what we do. So if you think that it's just a monetary thing, and this is why we do this, this is absolutely, I can say unequivocally, none of us on here are doing this for the money. However, if you partner with a company who's willing to give you all the nice things that they give us, just by helping people save their lives like we're saving our own, why not do it, is what I say, you know? And the thing is, hey, Heather, you can't. So like, I only know so many people. Michael only knows so many people. And so does Jimmy or anybody. So it's all about networking. Who do I know who has type 2 diabetes, who needs the system? Who do they know in their family and their friends? Because the thing is Rav is one of our mentors. Rav's organization affects 80,000 people. Could Rav do that himself with one person? He could never affect that many lives with one person. He could never do it. And so that's the name of the game. So if you're interested in learning how we do that, you can have a conversation with any of us. Get with who invited you. We do these live streams to educate people, because you don't actually have to buy this system to do it. The system makes it faster. It makes it easier because it's dealing with the food noise, the cravings, the hunger hormones. It's stimulating a natural GLP-1. It's an all-natural statin. But you can consume chlorogenic acid. You can do the intermittent fasting on your own, obviously. You can consume the chlorogenic acid. It's just not a concentrated amount. You can get it other ways. And you can get your fiber other ways. You just have to diversify your fiber. You really need soluble and insoluble fiber. Do not buy Metamucil and Benefiber. So are we trying to sell you something? No. What we're trying to get you to do is realize you have reversible issues. This is how you can fix it, and this is how we're fixing it. Thank you, Heather. Does anybody want to add anything to that?
I would like to add on.
Go ahead.
I would just like to add on, as a bartender, and I'll tell everybody, an alcoholic, being around alcohol pretty much my whole life. This also helps with not just the food noise, but it helps with the alcohol noise. Those of you that are out there struggling, when I was all depressed because of all those symptoms that I had gotten, I did turn to alcohol, and I was drinking like almost 24/7. If I was awake, I was drinking. When I started the system, I was able to just go socially to where I was only drinking like once a week rather than 24/7. So I was able to fix that. Also, this is the new year. I'm on what, day 25, 26 of being sober now. And it's totally amazing. It totally helps. Not only that, but I just realized this a little while ago without even trying. That's my intermittent fast right now.
Oh, wow. 45 hours, almost 46 hours. That's amazing.
I'm still doing really well right now. I'm not even thinking about food. I'm just drinking my tea, and like, man, it's been totally amazing. This system works. It's all about consistency. Consistency is the key. we don't try to tell you like, just keep eating the same crap. We want to make better, healthier choices when it comes to eating food. But if you were to get the same diet that you've eaten this last 3 months and just cut out breakfast and cut out the snacks, only just eat lunch, eat the same lunch and eat the same dinner that you had for the last 3 months, and just incorporate these products into it, guess what? You will see a substantial difference. Like, literally. All you got to do is just be consistent with it, and it's totally amazing.
You're getting some love, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so my friend Heather said that her husband hasn't wanted to drink, and he's only been doing this about a week. He loves the tea, like he really loves it. She has the opposite problem. We're trying to get her to gain weight, so she got Dr. Bickman's protein, and I'm going to send her some balance for gut health and stuff like that. But she definitely has the opposite problem as most of us. Thank you, Whitney. Whitney says she's proud of you. Robert asks, can you fast a whole month? I think that's something you really need to work up to. That probably needs to possibly be doctor supervised just to make sure. But if you look at monks fast all the time, and monks fast for very long periods of time. And fasting has been around for, I don't know, thousands of years. Anybody can fast, even type 2 diabetics. I know there's a lot of myths and a lot of misinformation out there. Your glucose doesn't go up from intermittent fasting. Your glucose goes up because the intermittent fasting is working, and it's only temporary. So if that happens, or if your A1C temporarily goes up, even on this system, just know that that's working.
That's a whole year right there.
382 days is the world's longest fast. I just want to say that
Carrie says his was doctor supervised, and they checked his electrolytes.
If what you've been doing is not working, I mean, really, if what you've been doing for years is not working, why not take a chance on a product that we're talking about that offers a solution? We have the best product on the planet. They offer you a 90-day money-back happiness guarantee. They guarantee your blood work is going to improve. They guarantee that you're going to start feeling better. They guarantee that some of these conditions we're talking about are going to improve if you do it like Jimmy says. Do it consistently. Do it every single day. Don't do it a week and say, I'm not doing this. Skip a week or two, then pick back up doing it again. You have to have a little bit of discipline about yourself to do it every single day. It's not that hard. You can put these packets in your pockets. You can go out to your restaurant. Just ask for 4 or 5 ounces of water. Put your fiber in it that's been studied by the Cleveland Heart Clinic. Mix it up with a spoon. Down it, and then enjoy your meal. Enjoy your life. And it will lower your blood triglycerides and sugar, because it slows down that absorption for getting in your bloodstream. It's proven. It's proven. Mm-hmm. We're just, there was, I think, 7 of us on here at the beginning. We ain't even a drop in the bucket from people that's having outstanding results. I'm coaching people in 19 states that are having very, very good results. Very good.
I sat in a room with 20,000 people from all over the world that have all been impacted by this system globally. And I'm talking, I don't even know how many countries, probably 30 or 40 different countries in that room. In fact, most of us do live streams on TikTok and other places. There was a couple that came over and asked to sit down with us from Tanzania because they recognized us. And so they didn't tell us right away. They just asked if they could sit there, and we talked to them, and we're like, we didn't even know it was in Tanzania, and so we're talking to them about that. And, they're changing so many lives over there. And then they finally told us, and his wife was like, no, we know who you are. That's why we came over here to sit by you. You're cows, and you were on that TV show thing that we don't even know about, and you're the barbecue guy. And then Ro, we know you. And so it was pretty interesting to meet somebody when we're in Thailand. They're from Tanzania and they have recognized us from TikTok, just from sharing our stories and trying to educate people, because there is so much misinformation. Our doctors aren't taught this. It's not necessarily their fault. Now, some doctors are just jerks and you have to fire them. We've done that. Michael's done that, because they just won't, they're not willing to listen. They're not open-minded, you know. But for the most part, our doctors are not taught this. Our doctors are taught to diagnose and prescribe. And they're, you know, the first thing your doctor should ask you is how often you're eating and what are you eating? You know, and the biggest problem, in my opinion, the biggest one is how often are you eating? You know, that's probably the biggest culprit there. Because in my case, I wasn't eating super unhealthy, but I was eating those 5 to 6 small meals a day to boost my metabolism that never boosted. And I just kept gaining weight. And I'm like, how can I just eat like vegetables and mostly meats and like good stuff and I'm still gaining weight? Like, and then my doctors told me that I was a conundrum. I was a healthy fat person. Doesn't exist. You weigh 400 pounds, you're not healthy.
Mm-hmm. Hey, real quick about the that thing when y'all were in Thailand. A lot of people here don't even know this, but you know this whole program is or protocol is kind of new to us here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that there was 20,000 people from the company there, you know, representing, you know, Unicity. How many people were representing the United States?
Oh gosh. The
There was
United
only
States
like
section, the
like
United States section,
125.
I don't even think that many because it
Yeah,
was included with Puerto Rico. Puerto
yeah.
Rico outnumbered us 10 to 1 probably. How many? I would
But just
say
think about that. Just think about that number though.
maybe
Like,
60. Maybe 75 like actual from the US. It could be more than that. But they had the US and Puerto Rico together. And so our section was just very very small, like because when Stuart Hughes bought this company from Rexall Drug, he literally leveraged everything that he had because he knew this would save lives. And he didn't need this company. He didn't need it. He was on Wall Street. He was already a multimillionaire. Like he did not need this company, but he knew that it would save lives. Kendra fired her doctor too. And so he leveraged everything he had. But he also knew with Western medicine and the way our insurance companies are, big pharma is in the United States, that it would never survive in the US. He took it to Asia. This company, these products in Asia is huge. South Korea, Vietnam, Japan, all of these countries, it's insane just how, I mean, the majority of people at these conferences are from Asia. Like there's just hundreds and hundreds and thousands of them. Like the whole right side of the room was just Asian countries. And then you have just like this little section from the US and Puerto Rico. And the Puerto Ricans outnumber us. So there's 3 million people in Puerto Rico, and there are so many people that are changing their health and wealth in Puerto Rico. It's crazy. Just how big Unicity is in Puerto Rico.
I believe, if I'm correct, this year will be the first year that the global convention's in the United States.
it is
in Orlando.
Yes.
in November.
It's so like every other year it's in Thailand, right? And then but it's been in like other places, like the year before that was Japan, you know, and then this year it was Thailand. And then it was Paris. But yeah, but I believe that this is the first global conference will be in Orlando. And that'll be interesting, and I'm excited to see how that plays out in Orlando, you know, having all of them come over here, because usually it's all of us going to Thailand. So yes, Heather, yeah, there's only 3 million people in Puerto Rico, and there are so many millionaires in Puerto Rico from just helping people, and so many people that have changed their lives in the wealth realm, and then also just their health, because you know in Latin communities it's a, you know, we have we don't necessarily have genetic predispositions. Most of us don't. We inherit our eating habits from our parents and our grandparents and our traditions, and that's the problem. So in Latin communities, they eat a lot of rice, they eat a lot of flour and things like that, and pasteles, which are really great. They're Puerto Rican
Yeah,
food. They sort of look like tamales, but really big fat ones, and you steam them in plantain leaves. And I've had my fair share of pasteles, but we're inheriting those eating habits, and they're carb rich. In Asian communities, like I was in Asia, everybody eats noodles or rice all day long, like it's every meal, and those are all 100 on the glycemic index. So that's the thing is, there's, I believe, is it China that's like 52%, actually more than the US, 52% diabetes rate.
China and India.
China and India. And so their diabetes rates are even more than the US, and we have bigger countries. I mean, China, population wise, but India is obviously a much smaller country than we are, and they have higher rates than we do. And it's because we're inheriting our eating problems. It's not hereditary because of genetics. It's hereditary because, I mean, I know I've taught my kids how to cook the same Southern food that I've eaten my entire life, and my grandparents and my parents, and the pies and the fried foods and the sweet tea, right? Like, that's what we do in the South. And the Black community also eats very similar to other Southern folks, like a lot of fried foods. And, that stuff's really good. The baked macaroni, all the things, right? All the fried foods. That is what we're inheriting. And that's what most people don't realize. The other myth is that you have to be obese or overweight or be type 2 diabetic in order to be insulin resistant. Well, if you look at the Asian countries, most of them are not very big. So it literally has nothing to do with the size that you are. I mean, having belly fat is an excellent indicator that you're insulin resistant, but it's not just a one size fits all. Like, you can have small people who are absolutely 100% insulin resistant.
Robert, rice and noodles are carbs. They just turn directly into sugar.
Yeah, they do. They do. They're high on the glycemic index. Rice and noodles are high on the glycemic index. The noodles in the US, you have to understand the quality of food where you're getting it at. My ex-husband's from Italy. They eat pasta probably at least twice a day, but also they don't have genetically modified flour. Their semolina flour and their zero flour is completely different. And so it's also the quality of the food that we're getting. And so when you're shopping those inner aisles, you're also competing with what the FDA allows in our food, which is a bunch of chemicals and crap. And they take the fiber out of it. So in other countries, especially in Europe, that's why, when people say, oh, pasta's fattening. Yep, absolutely, in the US. Because the thing is the interesting thing, and the reason why I know this is because I was married to him for a decade. Barilla pasta, right? Barilla, the FDA made Barilla change their formulation of their pasta in order to sell it in the United States. The Barilla pasta in Italy has double the protein in it, and it actually has less carbs because there's not fillers. So if you look at an actual box in Italy, there's only a few ingredients. If you look at the box here, there's normally not. Heather, I understand, Heather.
Yes. Yeah, because when you think about it, like the FDA, vitamins are not approved by the FDA. Twinkies are approved by the FDA. Like, make it make sense.
Right. And so we have to really start understanding. Yvette says it's great. If it doesn't make sense, it makes dollars. And that's the truth. And so, like, when I realized, because I was in Italy and I was looking at the box and I was like, man, why is there so much more protein? Because the box I had at home of the bucatini was 7 grams of protein. The one in Italy is 16 grams of protein, and it's different flour and there's not any fillers in it. And so I'm just like, why on earth? And so I actually looked it up years ago before I even knew about any of this. The FDA made them change their formulation, and they actually tried to fight it. They have to use a different flour, everything. And our
Wow.
flour is all genetically modified.
Insane.
Yes. So is there any other questions? I know we've been on for an hour and 45. I want to answer all the questions, but I know people can't stay on here all night.
By the way, it's the Chiefs and Eagles in the Super Bowl.
I was going to say that a little while ago. Imagine that.
Chiefs and Eagles, huh?
Yeah.
Well, who are you rooting for?
Neither.
Neither.
That's right, Heather. That's why America is so obese and sick. Absolutely. So get with the person that shared this live stream with you if you're wanting more information. If you'd like to have a conversation with any of us, in private, you don't want to put all your, what you're dealing with out in this live. We totally understand that. Get with who invited you and who tagged you. And we can make that happen and answer your questions and just how it relates to your health and your wellness. And if you're interested in helping us share this education and learn about it and share it with your family and friends, get with us about that too, because we need more people to get this information out there. I would like to bankrupt Big Pharma. That would make me so happy.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah.
And one last thing for me, I can't speak for either one of you two, but I think my biggest regret was not starting sooner. I watched for 2 months before I started, and then when I did get it, I put it in my pantry for 2 weeks. This is life-changing, like life-saving, life-changing. Like, oh my gosh, it was just the best thing that I ever came across, and I'm so glad that I did it. We're not BSing you. I was skeptical.
No.
Don't be skeptical.
I think we all are naturally. I really do. And listen, I sat there, listened to Jim for 2.5 hours because he can be long-winded. God love him. And he explained all the science, and I'm sitting here thinking, did some barbecue pitmaster just explain to me why I haven't been able to lose weight for all these years after my car accident? And I'm just like, forget it. I feel awful. This sucks. It's got a 90-day money-back guarantee. I'm gonna try it. I've literally tried everything else. What happens if it doesn't work? At least with this, I get all my money back because I never had that guarantee before. Like, you go on meds, you don't get your money back if they just don't work, and after you have a reaction, you spend $300 for a med, you're on it for a couple of days, and you have an adverse reaction, and they have to switch it. Guess what? You're not getting back. You're not getting back that $300 for that medication. It ain't happening. And so I ordered it literally the day that I heard about it because I was just like, I was so desperate. I felt like literally I prayed the night before, y'all. And I was just like, God, listen, you have to show me something. I can't, I feel awful. I feel terrible. And in fact, Carrie would tell me all the time, I don't even know how you function. I don't know how you do it. And, her daughter-in-law was talking about her skin clearing up and people saying, you look younger. Like, what are you doing? The thing is I'll be 46. I'll be 46 next month. And there's people that meet me that are like, how old are you? And I tell them, they're like, no way. And so I always tell them, hey, you're my best friend if you think I'm 28 or 30. Like, I got wrinkles. I have a kid that's 25. Like, that's cool, but I didn't have a baby at 3. So there's Jim.
There he is.
Michael, what would you like to add to it? Parting thoughts.
Simply, just to repeat what I said earlier. If what you've been doing in the last few years is not working, then why not give this system a try? This system offers the 90-day money-back guarantee. This company makes lives better. Bottom line.
Right.
It's saving lives. And just do it. Just do it.
Don't be like Michael and wait 6 months. Just do it because we've talked about it. We've all talked about it. Those who waited are like, why did I wait? And I think you do. I think you do have to be ready and kind of wrap your mind around it and really be rock bottom, and his, he touched on it earlier. His doctor was like, you're not going to be around in two years. What do you do with that? And so you go to Jim. You go to barbecue Jim and I, the science guy, and you're like, okay, let's do this, you know. And so I am forever grateful for Jim. I can probably speak for Michael and say that you are as well. Jim has saved my life. And it's because he just did live streams every day and talked a lot about science. And I'm like, Chlora, what? And of course, Carrie's like, carcinogenic acid? I'm like, she does have the right word now, y'all. So,
but yeah, I bet it never gets old for Jim to get all those text messages. And I know it doesn't get old for me. I'm sure it doesn't get old for y'all to get those text messages that, you know, you saved somebody's life. And it's totally amazing. It makes me feel good.
And Kathy, just send me a message. We can work on that. We can look at what you're eating. Maybe, I know you said you were struggling and you have to have surgery. The thing is, you know, it's not one size fits all. You know, my husband's still in the process of reversing his type 2 diabetes. But if we hadn't started this protocol 17 months ago, we wouldn't actually know that something else is happening. He is incredibly insulin resistant, like probably the most stubborn case that we've ever seen. And that's what Lindsay Vin says too. So his blood sugars are now just getting down to like 140. And that's good because it's been over 200. Like he could fast, he could eat carnivore for a week and like no carbs and his sugar still be in the 200s. So just know that we didn't get sick overnight and this isn't an overnight fix. And when you hear Michael's reverse his type 2 diabetes in 90 days and Jimmy and Jim and Ro and all of these people, if that's not you, it's okay. It's not that it's not working. It's that you're really, really sick and you just didn't realize how sick you were until you started this. So don't give up. Be patient. Reach out to us. That's the worst thing you can do is not reach out to us. Like reach out to us. That's what we're here for. So I'm going to close this. Do you guys have anything else to say? I just want to read what Jim says. Y'all are an inspiration and you saved your life. Well, you're the vessel,
Can't
Jim.
you post that?
Yes.
I
That's
can't
true.
see that small writing. I can see it when that big writing pops up.
There, how's that? I forgot I can do that. I'm techie now, Jim. I'm like Jim. But no, we thank you, Jim. And I know when you get your first "you saved my life" message, it is a little odd. Like it's an odd feeling. I cried, you know. And I tell people God's put this in my path and I'm just the vessel. So I do know that feeling when people tell you that. But you did save our life, Jim. You did. So thank you. Okay, gonna cry. No, just kidding. Okay, guys, thanks. We're gonna start doing these on a more regular basis. Some of us are starting to do some things local, some events local. So just keep an eye on our Facebooks, and you guys can come hang out with us in person.
Bring somebody and help them get educated.
Right. Yes. And so the other thing is even if you don't feel like the system is right for you, I will say everybody needs to be on it. Just my opinion. 9 out of 10 people are insulin resistant in America, and 1 out of 3 people are pre-diabetic or diabetic. So I would say somebody you know needs the system. Get them with who tagged you in this, and let's get them help. That's all I got to say. All right. All right. Ciao, guys. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, everybody in the comments. Good night, Kendra, Donnie, Heather, Jim, Whitney, whoever else is in there or still here.